And hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of My Idaho Friends. I am your host, Jaime Lima, and boy, do we have a treat for all of you at home. Today, the one, the only, the ever so hairy and sexy, my good buddy from another mother, Dan Nelson. Dan.
It's brother from another mother, but that's okay. Either way.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. It has been a long day. Here's a beer for you.
Hey, thanks,
Here's
man.
a beer for me. Let's crack these bad boys open
Let's
and
do it.
let's just get down
Awesome.
to it.
Well, thanks for having me, man.
No, yeah, thanks for coming. I just figured you had something better else to do, but you didn't, and
No.
here we are.
You're obviously scraping the bottom of the barrel for guests, but thanks for
Uh,
having me here
you
anyway.
know, I don't know about that. So, Erica, tonight we're drinking Bear Island.
Mm-hmm.
What did you get, Dan?
I got the Summer Spud.
Nice. I'm having some triple tater.
Indeed.
All right.
Bear Island's actually one of our sponsors.
What?
Veteran-owned Bear Island, yeah.
Veteran owned, Beth and Steve.
Yep.
That could show. I can never say their names
Cheers.
right. Cheers. Fun fact. Did you know, before I start talking about you, and with you, and for you, Beth and I, before she left for the service and I left for the service, we used to box together.
Before you guys joined the military?
Yeah, so right here out of Boise, Beth and I were by far the smallest like people training at the
Yeah.
gym.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody else had us by like I don't know, like 30 or 40 pounds. I should say more, so in order to justify the fact that I was just, getting beat up by a girl. But yeah, Beth.
She's a beast, man.
Yeah, and she still is. But yeah, that like my journey into boxing and then later on into Muay Thai grew, it started with my buddy Beth,
That's cool.
shoulder to shoulder. And then she went on to do great things in the Navy, became an EOD tech,
Yep.
explosive ordnance disposal, which is like you have to be a unicorn
Yep.
to be there.
True.
And then to do it as a woman,
Yep.
even like you're talking about like the 0.00001% of unicorns.
You're like a unicorn that's like coat is actually an American flag.
Yeah, exactly. And with wings and, carrying
Right.
like, mounted double-sided machine guns on the side. So yeah, so that's who Beth is. And this is her beer and it's delicious and is, again, proudly veteran-owned, veteran-made beer. And it's just amazing. And here we are name-dropping people just to try to, someday we'll have sponsors, Eric, I promise.
It's a good idea to name drop people that make and sell beer. I mean, I think that's common knowledge,
No doubt.
So with Bear Island, what is the other one?
We're not, this is Mother Earth Brewing.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
the old Buku. Buku
Yeah.
IPA from Mother Earth.
Yeah, I don't know anybody there. Great beer though. They
Yeah, wish I did.
they're transplants. They came from California and now they have their brewery operations. Their main brewery operations are in Nampa, Idaho.
Oh, I thought they were in Montana and Nampa. I had no idea they're from California.
I'm pretty positive they're from
Sweet.
California. I'm
Nice.
quite positive. I could be wrong. I don't have in the budget somebody to double check everything that I say.
There's actually a guy under the table right now.
Just like, that's why I say it
Going
so
like this.
confidently. It's like no. But yeah, no, and good people, great beer, and then also again always supporting local.
Oh, yeah.
So let's get down to it.
All right, man.
So Dan, I know who you are. Eric, I just met you there in the background, but some folks at home, they recognize your handsome mug, but there's a lot that might not. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we start talking about the run, the experience, and that's really what I want to go heavy on. But who is Dan Nelson, and how did Dan Nelson end up here in Boise, Idaho?
Well, I was actually born in Sicily, so my dad was a Navy pilot after Vietnam, ended up being stationed all over the world. I was the fourth out of four kids. And then after being in Sicily for a bit, we moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And that's where I grew up essentially until mid-90s, came here, went to finish out middle school and high school here. My dad and my family came here because of the Forest Service. He became a Forest Service pilot.
Oh,
So I, went to Centennial High School and had a great experience. Terrible experience academically. I put zero effort into academics, and it's really unfortunate, actually. I wish I could go back and, do lots of things to my young self. But then after that, I left. No, yeah, let me rephrase that. Actually, no, I'm going to stick by it.
you stick by it.
I'm going for it. Because I remember what I did in high school, and it was terrible.
Right.
After that, ended up going to the military. Got out of the military, went to college. I was really lucky, got to play football, and had my school paid for, and chose to go back in the military. So obviously not that bright, and spent about 11 more years in the military after that. I ended up getting blown up in Afghanistan in August of 2017, and I was medically retired last May, so May 2019. And my wife is from here. She's from Eagle originally, and we always thought that when everything was said and done, we'd come back and settle in Idaho, and that made it easy.
Good, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for your service, brother.
Likewise, man.
Oh, nobody cares about me. Your wife, she's so smart, she's so awesome, and she's so very hot.
She'll appreciate that.
How did you do it?
Somewhere between pure luck and, I don't know, coercion, I guess? I mean, I don't want to say like deep interrogation type stuff.
Right. Perhaps
something.
your skills, and, I don't know, the skills you pick up doing such things as unconventional warfare and foreign internal defense, they all come full circle.
Yep.
And you being the full spectrum warrior that you were. And we're not going to go into detail about that because that there's no reason for, that doesn't matter. It's in the past. But I'm so very proud of you. And that's why I had to throw that out there.
It's really weird. Everyone always says congratulations to me, and then they look at her with pity, and they're just like, I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah. Well, I always wonder, people at home cannot tell, but you have tiny, bitty little eyes. You're still a very handsome fellow, and then you take don't do it. Oh, man. And there goes the female audience.
Oh, sorry.
Put him back on.
Sorry.
And some of the male audience as well.
Maybe.
We care about you too.
Yeah.
You're all welcome. All right, let's bring it back up. So yes, Sicily, I hear that's in Italy. New Mexico.
Yep.
I hear that's here in the United States.
There's a new one now. Yeah.
Yeah. No. And Idaho, Centennial High School, school, football, military. What made you return? What made you take that pivot after playing football and coming in, letting the cat out of the bag as an officer?
Yeah.
Sir.
Yes, enlisted swine. I appreciate that. No, I started off as enlisted swine myself. And I had a short and very undistinguished enlisted career in the Marine Corps. So really to know the answer of why I went back in the military after college, it's because I did such a poor job of it the first time that it became a formative failure for me. So joined the Marine Corps out of high school and went through boot camp, was at SOI, Camp Pendleton, and ended up getting hurt. And nothing super major, but just like bolts, discs, and everything like that, and got put in this thing called the Medical Rehab Battalion.
What? I'm familiar with those guys.
And I don't think they exist anymore. It's got probably a cool name like Warrior, Killer.
Something
awesome.
Clearing, waiting,
Yes.
one day you'll be an operator.
Right. And then I started acting a total fool. And it's something that's really embarrassing. And the Marine Corps gave me every opportunity to get right. And I took every opportunity to stay wrong. More wrong.
More wrong.
And just doing stupid stuff, man. And, I can't even imagine this happening. Maybe it's because it was before 2003, before Iraq War started, and Afghanistan was still really low intensity and very small numbers of guys over there.
Right.
Well, not necessarily low intensity, but small numbers of guys, not mass troop deployment type things. And I was given the opportunity by my company commander, who might as well have been God to me at the time, saying, do you want to be here? Because you're not acting like you want to be here.
Right.
You don't want to be a Marine, or do you? And at that time, my 18-year-old self was like, no, I don't want to be here. So I essentially quit. And I don't know why. They could have totally hammered me. Really, I was a nobody. But instead, they took pity on me and let me get out with basically an admin discharge. And then I came back here with my tail between my legs because all my, I joined with a group of friends from here, from high school.
Buddy system.
Yeah.
Taking place at all times.
They were doing all the right things. So they stayed Marines, and then I came back here in shame and was very fortunate to have a crazy opportunity as a 19-year-old that allowed me to help coach football at Centennial High School. And I think the people that allowed me to do that, I think of John Watson, who's still the athletic director there, Lee Newman, who was the head coach there for a long time. They gave me that opportunity because they trusted me to make up for some of my screw ups, even just, a year or two prior. So I was really lucky, got to coach a season of football there. I loved it. And I think all that time, all the real adults, were like, you need to go do something. Like, you're not going to be a high school coach with a high school degree and be very successful, and you're passionate about football, so why don't you go try it? And that's what led to the next step, which was junior college in Arizona. Mm-hmm. Well, Yuma, Arizona, the jewel of the Southwest.
Yes, it is.
Yep. I went to Arizona Western Junior College down there and played one season of football. Got really lucky. And you know what was really weird? Is I think I graduated Centennial and, no shit, with a 2.0 GPA. Like, I had to work hard to keep my grades that low because I, work hard at doing nothing to avoid learning anything at all costs. Terrible student. It's so embarrassing. And then I went to, granted, it was junior college at first, but still, there's some really great, smart people there and great, smart professors. And magically, after, this giant catastrophic failure in my life, then I had a 4.0. And I was like, oh, man, life is not that bad in school if you just actually try and go to class. That's the other thing that does crazy.
Go to class. Just try.
Yeah. And so got lucky, got some offers, and ended up going to UCLA from 2004 to 2006.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Here's a couple of things. Excuse me. We're going to be drinking a lot of beer.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you're the guest. You are the guest.
It's
I'm
been
the
a day.
host. It's been a day. So good. And this is how I end up having an hour-long conversation during the show, whether people at home like it or not.
Yeah.
You, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're a direct byproduct of not only kindness, which led to second chances, but also a number of people seeing not just potential, but also, having the foresight to be this is where the opportunity lies, And I want to go back to what you were talking about, your time in the Marine Corps, because you are right. It's not very difficult to be a Marine, especially a brand new one.
I never said that, by the way.
So, but as
Yes.
I did it for 12 years,
Yeah.
and it ain't that bad. The first time that you go through boot camp, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I just cannot believe it. I had guys in this, in the old squad bay going through boot camp, they just couldn't even wipe their own ass, and dudes pissing their bunks, and it's it's a different life experience for everybody, and that's fine. And then we all graduate together, and everybody says, "Oh no, we're Marines,"
Yeah.
and I was like, which is great, And then Marines are awesome. The Marine Corps as a whole, great marketing. Once a Marine, always a Marine, and you get the sword and you slay the dragon. It's just best commercials. I'm proud of that. But at the end of the day, you have to try really hard.
To get the boot.
To get the boot, and I commend you for that. And I was gonna go with a joke so of course you were in the Marine Corps, and then you were able to exit and facilitate. You were able to kind of wake up and find kind people, and they offer opportunities. You took advantage of those opportunities as you should, and then you went ahead and chose to go into an easier service because that way, it was just going to be a lot better.
Right.
So you joined the Army.
Yep.
And you went to school, so therefore you're an officer.
Well,
and, of sorts.
that was a strange story too.
What?
So,
there's more. The plot thickens.
Well, when I was going to college during that time, obviously Iraq starts in 2003.
Yep.
And then those same buddies that I mentioned before, they go to real no shit war, and I'm living out my childhood fantasies of playing D1 ball and enjoying all the fruits that came with that. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of fruit.
It was a great experience for me all around. And
Apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur.
I was talking about the education.
Yes.
I was talking about the education.
I'm gonna shut up and drink my beer and listen.
Anyway, so those same friends started going to war and getting hurt and having warlike experiences.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that comes with it. Meanwhile, I'm living the life, and that guilt was something that I really struggled with. So I decided I was going to go back in the military. I planned on enlisting, and then in the meantime, Pat Tillman, the pro football player turned Army Ranger who was killed in Afghanistan, was killed. And that struck me a lot because I was a fan of his ever since he was a college football player at ASU. Like, I used to watch him here. And the connection between Jake Plummer, who was from Boise, was the quarterback on that team. So I watched ASU a lot. Everyone did around that time. And seeing this crazy little dude that, looked like me, I identified, he was way better looking and way stronger, but you know what I mean? Like,
there were some similarities,
right,
I get it. Like you, like I don't look like him, but between you and I, you look like him more.
His attitude and the way he played the game and just kind of like ferocity and everything, I just love. And I also commended his decision, he and his brother's decision to do what they did after 9/11 and actually put themselves in a position to serve at a high capacity.
Yep.
So, I end up my sophomore season of ball. I shattered my collarbone in like the 9th game of our season. I couldn't play spring ball that spring, so I started running. And I'd never been a distance runner. I was like, a football player and a boxer in high school. And so I signed up to do this marathon, and I started fundraising because I'm like, I need some motivation to do this because I'm going to die. And started fundraising for the Pat Tillman Foundation. And it was kind of weird. I looked like a giant, like, gorilla out there, like, running amongst all these, like, super athletic runners.
Right.
And it attracted some attention, got put in the newspaper, and then I get a call from this lieutenant colonel in the Army, and he says, "Hey, I read that you're planning to enlist, and I really think that, you would serve well as a leader in the military, as an officer." And I said, "I don't think you know my backstory." He's like, "Why don't you come in and talk about it?" So I come in, I just lay everything out with him, honestly.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, you completely F that up," you know what I mean? But what you've done since then it shows me that you actually have learned from that, and that's, it's become a formative failure for you. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "I'm willing to take a chance on you." So stack of waivers, like, yay high. Somehow, and it's probably because, like, this was, the height or close to the height of Iraq. And
they were taking anyone.
They
took me.
Dude.
Because that's when I got in. I got in 2003, and I had a metal plate on my right knee, and it's been too long now since I got in and got out. My shady as fuck recruiter out here in Boise couldn't get me through MEPS in Idaho, here in Boise, so he drove me down to Utah. Him and I both lied, got through MEPS, and you're looking at this Marine here right now.
Dude,
I fucking love that guy. I forgot his name. He's just a good dude. I don't know if he's probably not watching.
He's probably like an E9 now. And you started like a 15-6 Army investigation on him or something.
More than likely. Well, fuck it.
Just cross off the name. Jaime Lima. No longer.
Well, he lied to me.
Yeah.
He didn't. And I'm so glad. He's like, "You want to go infantry." Like, you're absolutely correct. If anybody watched Starship Troopers, you definitely want to go infantry.
Of course, yeah.
Space Force.
Isn't that the only way you can get your citizenship in that movie?
Mm-hmm.
No?
It's a great book. Have you read the book?
I actually haven't read the book.
Okay, so this is the most amazing thing. We're going to go all over the place because we're drinking. And that's okay. Because I want to go back to actually, the very serious matter of, failure and redemption.
Yeah.
But it's a big deal because, unfortunately, you do not get enough of that in the service, regardless of whatever branch. Yeah. And that's something that, gosh, again, never about me, but I've had that experience, So I commend you for being honest and being vulnerable and just saying, like, it's embarrassing and this is what happened in my time when I was in the Marine Corps. And at the same time, like, you were young. Like, I'm 40 years old now. You're 23. And and then and when we both look back, it's like, okay, what would I have done differently? It's like the Hot Tub Time Machine. It doesn't exist, unfortunately. Great movie, but like, it goes back. But the thing that I always like claws at my soul is the way in which we eat our own. Like, like you screwed up, and that's it, and you're on the shitbag list. Yep. And F you, and your grandpappy before you, like you're no longer part of the cool kids club. So we're gonna circle back to that.
Yeah.
All right. But oh no, what were we talking about?
Oh, life, redemption, failure.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to circle back to. Oh, Erica, help me out over here. But I was getting somewhere. No, yeah, and you, definitely you. But you mentioned something. Oh my gosh. And it's live. We're live. Drink the beer.
Okay. I think you left off where your shady recruiter drove you to a different state illegally to have you enlist in the United States military.
That's pretty good too.
Well, I guess I'll just pick up and see if you grab it. So I was still playing ball, and then they wanted me to join ROTC. Mm-hmm. I was going into my senior year,
right?
So I hadn't done the traditional path. I couldn't offer a lot of time, especially in the summer, like other, normal cadets or whatever, midshipmen. They go off in between their third and fourth year of college in the summer to do stuff. I couldn't do that because of football training. Had an awesome experience playing my last season of football, had an amazing team. And once that was over, then I just threw myself into literal physical and mental transformation into becoming the military leader that I wanted to be.
Right.
And I knew I wanted to be an infantry officer. Mm-hmm. I knew I was going to infantry officer basic school. I knew I was going to ranger school, airborne school, all that stuff, right off the bat. And I was not a distance runner that could run fast and meet like 5-mile timelines and perform well on all the things that, that entry-level training requires, because I was like 250 pounds. I was a linebacker,
Of sexiness.
250 pounds of steel with sex appeal, I believe is what you mean.
You got that right.
Actually, it was like more bubblegumish.
Yeah.
Anyway. But when I ran, I looked like a lava lamp, which was mesmerizing for everybody. So that was a bonus. A lot of running partners really want to hang out with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's special effects for free.
Dude, I have to tell you. So we found this picture of me in college when I was on the beach in California, and my 4-year-old saw it the other day, and he was like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "That's me." And he's like look at the picture, look at me, and then he's like, "What happened to all your muscles?"
Right.
I don't know, son.
No, yeah, it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, no. It's cool though. At least it's your kids. It's different when like my wife. Like I remember you have broad shoulders and a 6-pack, and like now you're you. And I'm like, yeah, true that. Yeah. And that's when I'm so grateful that I'm still married and I'm not single, because I have never had to swipe left or right, and I have no intention of finding out what that will be like.
Yeah.
So this is going to be really painful to me mostly, because I'm going to watch this eventually, and I never watch my own episodes.
Oh.
Yeah.
You should give it a shot. It's a pretty good show.
Thank you. And then I'm going to remember like around 3 a.m. It's like, yeah, that's what you wanted to talk about, but we're going to pivot, we're going to forget about it, and I'm not picking it up. But I really, it matters to me when we're talking, because here's the thing, like when you are part of the wolf pack, okay, mm-hmm. if you may, regardless of what branch you are, mm-hmm. Space Force, Coast Guard, they still count.
Ooh.
You gotta do. You see that like the Space Force show is like, yeah, you're still behind the freaking Salvation Army. It's like, oh man, that's, just for I still haven't watched the show. I was like, man, sweet burn, man, fuck, that's brutal.
And
they do great work.
They do.
And they're amazing. And like to all my Coast Guard brothers and sisters, hey, shout out to you guys. Cheers.
I wouldn't go boating without you.
Mm-hmm. But I really want to circle back because it matters to me. Because not only it's happened to me, but it's happened to other people. And I am very fortunate that when I screwed up, I really thought like, oh my gosh, like my immediate peer group is going to have my back and my command is just going to crucify me. And I had transition. And I'm so sorry because I don't want to go into too many details for anybody that's watching, but I know Dan understands because we have a similar background from your time in the Army and my time in the Marine Corps. And it was completely ass backwards. Now, with the exception of my team, because I was no longer in a team, I went from the team to, living that instructor life, which happens a lot, also, in the ODA community and whatnot, it's just like you did your times, as a team member, now go do the thing.
Yep.
Okay, so now you're running the courses and different phases of it, and it's the same thing for us. And, and I messed up and I screwed up and I owned that, and it was painful, like the same thing, Marines never quit and all this other stuff. And, not the same, but somewhat similar, when you were 18 and you were in the Marine Corps, it happened to me when I was like 30, whatever. Yeah. I already I don't know how many combat deployments. I don't want to go like this on like Piston Excellence and all this other stuff till I agonize. Boom, movie quote. But, movie reference, excuse me. It sucked. It sucked. So I just thought, like the boys, the guys, the team, the Wolfpack were going to have my back. And it turned out to be the complete opposite. It turned out to be that, like specifically higher senior enlisted, leadership and also on the officer side had my back.
Really?
And then, the guys, over at the school side, not all of them, but a number of them, said, well, you suck. And there were all these things like, you need to give up your MOS, like your embarrassment and all this other stuff. Why do I bring that up? And this is just far too much vulnerability, and I'm so glad we have beer. I love your story because, we have known each other for a little bit, not like a huge hot minute, but a little bit. We had some awesome conversations.
Yeah.
And we get along because we're awesome. I don't know where to go with this, but I know that that's not exclusive to our community. That is exclusive to the military as a whole, especially on the big green machine when it comes to like the Marine Corps and the Army, and we're talking about combat arms, the infantry. Okay, like you're good to go, you're awesome, you're doing great. And then you have a mishap, and then that's it. Especially in the lower enlisted ranks. And, at the time I was not lower enlisted. By then I was a sergeant or a staff sergeant around that time. Who nobody cares. But when I see junior enlisted, and then all of a sudden they're part of the Wolfpack, and they have a mishap, perhaps one like yours, one like mine, and they just absolutely get thrown to the wolf. And now, of course, armchair quarterbacking and looking back, and I was like, holy shnikes, like had I been that senior leader, officer side, enlisted side, and it's like, just take a breath, take a step back and hold back. What's the body of work?
Yeah.
What have you done, for the team, for yourself, for the unit, for the community? And here we are just beating the crap out of you. And we lose a great deal of awesome men and women who are serving our country because all of a sudden, and again, I don't want to put you in the spot, and so I'm talking for me and my own experience. We have a bunch of effing paper pushers and bureaucrats that take this like pivot stance. So it's like, whoa, he's a witch, burn him, And I'm like, okay, it's not Salem, bro.
Yeah.
History. I have read books. I know I'm not an officer, but I never finished college, but here I am.
I'm surprised.
But no, I'm surprised
One
too.
option I found
But that's
was
the
Redbox on West Franklin Road. Is that the one you're looking
Siri,
for?
shut up.
Someone's listening.
Siri, stop. Freaking Mark Zuckerberg. And...
He's illegal. I knew it. Watch out.
Or as Mango Mussolini will say, Team Apple. Ooh, we didn't just get political. We're not.
Yeah.
No. That was me. That was not you.
Oh.
Just to clarify that. And I didn't come up that on my own. OF Nation, freaking official up on Instagram. Shout out to him. But you see where I'm coming at, and I just would like to get your thoughts on that because, all jokes aside, you are indeed a great leader. You lead by example. You're honest, you're authentic, you're genuine, you're vulnerable, and to look back, not a lot of people are going to sit across, here in the table, well, maybe because there's beer, but maybe not this much beer, but before there hasn't been that much, and talk about like snap son, like I screwed up, and I wish I could go back, in the hub time machine and beat myself up, but now I am where I am. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, or what was your experience like that how that shaped you, knowing that people saw something in you, and now you are on that. You're at the wheel.
Yeah.
You're in that leadership position with a team, or regardless, or even regular infantry, if you wanted to go talk about that. And it's like, what are your thoughts on that somewhat of a hot button?
A couple things, I guess, that jump into my head. One, I immediately think of all the mistakes I made as a leader. Even though I had all these opportunities, and I did learn from them. But there's always new mistakes to be made.
Yeah.
So
that's how we grow.
You mentioned before that, like, the only reason why I was able to do anything, whether it was go to college, play football, go back into the military, do my time in the infantry, transition over to SF world, all those things were because someone gave me an opportunity. Like someone said, yeah, there's this, but I see something else in you.
Yeah.
And there's really no way to repay that. And I also think that my failure as a Marine, as a 18-year-old, that is something. And to be quite honest, you talk about like redemption. I don't think even to this day, I don't feel redemption for it. You can't ever, for me, I can't make up for those failures.
Yeah.
But I can try, and that trying, it comes from the motivation of that failure. So it's not like I feel like, oh, okay, like I became
High five.
a special forces officer now, so
I made it up.
I'm good to go.
You freaking assholes! You freaking kiss my ass.
No.
I got it. No, but that's the beauty of it, because there's continuous growth, you know. And I'm so glad you explained that, because I most certainly wasn't trying to put words into your mouth. But
Just beer in my mouth.
you're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
The first two, you brought the six-pack, just to be clear.
Neither confirmed nor denied.
Fair enough. But here we are. And it is important to me, because I have seen and experienced, I have brothers in arms, who were just amazing at war fighting. Mm-hmm. They were amazing at being Marines in the field, and we were in charge, by people that, really cared about how fresh your shave was, and how fresh your haircut was, and how tidy your room was, and like whether your underwear was folded a certain way, and whether there was like any dust in your barracks room, and all this other stuff. And they were just having you stand by.
Garrison Marines.
Garrison Marines. Yeah. And there's a time and a place, and I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm not saying that is not also part of like the Marine Corps experience. But I have always looked back, and especially to the dudes, the bros that got out before mental health was an actual concern.
Right.
Before mental health was like an actual issue. And here you have this warfighter that their way of decompressing is like, okay, you came back from deployment. It's 2003, 2004. You cannot go on leave for like 2 weeks. Hang out in your barracks room.
Yep.
Enjoy, just kind of decompress, and then do the whatever admin thing, administrative thing you have to do. And then after that, you can just get in your car or freaking get on a flight, go see your home, go see Susie, and beat up Jody. Inside joke. Do not beat up Jody. But they should. It just, it's painful. I have so many people, from my time as a regular crunchy before I transitioned to SF, dudes that were, it always comes back to like the guys on the sniper platoon, the state teams, and it's like they had to do so much. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they're just getting their shit kicked in. There's no other way to describe it. In the English language, and they're out there, with their radio, just looking, because everybody thinks you're watching movies. Like, oh man, they're just dropping tangos all over the place. Like, no, you're just.
That's exactly what it's like all the time.
Yeah, all right. You're just laying there, dirty. Like, you haven't had a chance to go to the bathroom, so you're pissing yourself. You're just caked up, like sugar cookie stuff, and then you're just watching and waiting and watching and waiting and passing intel to hire, and just and saving lives too. They just facilitating, boots on the ground information to everybody, within your unit and adjacent units as well. And then you come home and you are just kind of pissed off, and you drink a case of beer by yourself, and perhaps you don't feel like getting a haircut, and perhaps your shave was done with a rusty spoon, and like not everything is just like clean and neat as a Marine should be. And you just continue to get into trouble, and next thing you know, you're forced out. When in reality, that guy, that asset, has no reason to be out other than like the safest place that they can be, that is within his unit and surrounded by his brothers. And I know that's why you're not here, by the way. But it just incredibly rubs me the wrong way, because not only are we robbed of incredibly talented, experienced warfighters, but we're also giving up on them.
I have mixed feelings, man, because I've been on both sides. Obviously, my experience we've already talked about is a stupid kid.
Yeah.
But then when I went back in, I took everything extremely seriously, and I took
Yeah.
my position as an officer, my position as a leader, extremely seriously because it bothers me when people are put in leadership positions and treat it like it's a tourism thing, or like once I do my time here, then I can move up to something else.
And this is what what I really want to do.
Yeah, I guess I don't. I just kind of in my life, I think my dad would say like I don't half-ass things, I whole-ass things, and whether that means I am doing the right thing or the wrong thing, anything worth doing is worth overdoing, essentially.
Yep.
So, which may not be true, but it's kind of how I am. And I was a part of the 82nd. So the 82nd Airborne is basically like the Army's version of like the Marine Corps as far as the standards, discipline, garrison life type thing. But also, like we're...
True story, by the way.
Yeah.
82nd.
Yep. Shout out to the 82nd, All-American. But, I was in that culture, so I embraced that culture while I was there.
Yeah.
I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to go SF and put my hands in my pockets and grow a beard.
Yeah.
And be the cool guy riding on a four-wheeler.
And pay the price for it.
Right.
There's a toll that you have to pay for that.
But at the same time, I had to think really hard, and I wish more people would do this, I guess, about is that why I wanted to do it, or did I want to do the actual work? And, that my personal decision was I wanted to do the actual work more than anything else.
Exactly.
So that being said, to the point of losing guys that should be given second chances, or at least, some reasonable perspective. Like you said, look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
Not necessarily one incident or one behavior. I think sometimes I was really good at that as a leader. Mm-hmm. And other times I was definitely, admittedly, the guy that was like, this unit is moving at this speed, and you are moving at this speed, and I have no time for that. Like, the unit is not going to pay the price for your shitbaggery.
And I understand. No, and that's so perhaps some clarification to like the one single person that is watching that knows what the heck we're talking about. Because I'm referring to the crunchies. Nothing but love for my crunchies, regular infantry guys, whether Army or Marine Corps. So I definitely did not experience too much of that on the SF side until it happened to me. Mm-hmm. Okay, but like on the lower, like enlisted, your regular infantry, that's what I saw a lot of. Even before I transitioned into MARSOC. Because like when I was, gosh, I don't want to come across as this, but I put in the work.
Yeah.
And there's not that many people, at least, like in the infancy of MARSOC, that were willing to put in the work. And then, I was like super awesome back on where I was over in 3-4, and then I got over to SF, and then I was just like kind of somewhat to like the bottom of the barrel, because these guys were demigods. Yeah. They were just absolutely amazing. They were absolutely awesome. And in the beginning, when you have like all the motivation, it's like, I made it, and I'm just going to continue to try. But, like, pulling back a little bit, peeling back. It sounds like I'm talking about foreskin. I don't know. But like, I really, it's just analogies. We're very, and it's Mother Earth Brewing, thank you for the beer. They're not sponsors. They should be. The perspective that I wanted, and you really truly nailed it. You definitely do not want to sacrifice the beehive. You definitely don't want to sacrifice a colony, because of the one cat. Yeah. But at the same time, like, what I experienced and what I saw with a lot of my guys and a lot of peers, it was just always between deployments. Mm-hmm. Like I remember one of the first sergeants, back in 3-4, was talking to a buddy of mine. Like I wish I could like put you here like right next to the sprinkler. Mm-hmm. And, it's like but instead of case of fire, in case of war, break glass. Yeah. And then you're in. And those guys that were thought of being inside that glass case of emotion, another movie reference, that's where it pulls on my heartstrings a little bit. After, of course, armchair quarterbacking, looking back and going like, that was beyond deserving of a second chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, my general rule of thumb, and honestly it still is, but on the team, like anytime new guys come in or whatever, that's my big thing is I will protect you. Like no one's going to jail for anything we do
Yeah.
before I do.
I'll pick you up.
But the thing is, though, is if you do something with selfish intent, then I'm going to crucify you. So that's the deal.
Yeah.
So if you are doing something with selfish intent that hurts the reputation of the team, because reputation is the finest currency in any special operations unit
Yeah.
that anyone has. So if you harm the reputation of our team,
Yeah.
then you're gone.
Yeah. No. Hey, cheers to that.
Yeah. But, man, stuff happens.
I so love that you clarify that and brought that full circle because there was a senior enlisted gentleman when I transitioned from the team from the team life over into the the instructor side, and I remember this one single conversation, like if you're doing it for the team, whatever voodoo magic you're back there trying to do in order to, because I was the breacher / log guy.
Yeah.
So
Equivalent of our Charlies.
yeah,
Aaron Butler
yeah,
was.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was that guy. So I was like acquiring stuff.
You were in the acquisitions, yes.
I was into acquisitions, which I didn't know, which was later on will help me in sales. Oh God in heaven.
Yeah.
but
that's true.
But I was most definitely in acquisitions, and it was just one of those kind of things in which like like whatever I did, as long as it wasn't for my own benefit, like I wasn't like putting in I wasn't using the budget in order for we're gonna have flat screen TVs at the safe house or at the team, or for the compound. Like now all of a sudden we're gonna be like living that Gucci life. No, like I was getting lumber. I was getting like all the S4 type stuff, logistics. So my guys have all their gear and equipment in order for have mission success. Yes. And it's like, and as long as you did that, those guys had your back.
Yeah.
And I live by that and I appreciate that. Man, that I'm not gonna drop names, but dude, like he was rough, man. But when it came to that mindset, I stood by him 24/7. And I'm so proud that that I had enlisted senior personnel in charge of me like that. That even though he was a pain in the ass, and he was, that's the mindset. I will always respect them. Have a great deal of love for him. I didn't like him. Great deal of love. Great deal of respect. Erica, what do you need?
I need to know a little bit more about what you guys are talking about. I mean,
okay,
so for the non-military personnel, when you're saying crunchies, Wolfpack, 82nd, all of that, like I'm thinking like movie stuff, but
okay,
help us out.
So fair enough. So there's been not a lot of beer, but enough beer. So for everybody that is watching, and thank you, Erica, or amazing. Erica, you're amazing. You're on. I love that everybody gets to hear your voice in the background. So I'm not saying that we're humble, but we're humble. So Dan, I'm very proud of him. Great dude. Army, Special Forces officer, and then myself, freaking scumbag Marine Special Operations Command from Marine Special Operations Team number.
So in the military, special operations, specifically units under Special Operations Command or SOCOM, like the video game SOCOM.
Mm-hmm.
From the Marine Corps, there's only one unit that's under SOCOM, and that's MARSOC, or Marine Special Operations Command, and that's what he was a part of. So he was a Marine Raider. And in the Army, there's several that are under Special Operations Command. I was a part of 1st Special Forces Command, and I was a Green Beret. So if that brings the name, the common nomenclature. But if you say SF, it means Special Forces. SOF, Special Operations Forces.
Mm-hmm.
Special Operations Forces is an umbrella term across all branches.
Yeah.
And SF, specifically Special Forces, at least we are always taught, there's only one Special Forces, and that is the Army Green Berets. There are a lot of special operations. It includes SEALs, it includes MARSOC.
Don't tell that to things.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they got all the books and the cool movies.
That's true.
All jokes aside,
Rangers,
absolutely, and Rangers do lead the way right after the Marines come in and kick ass.
I'm not going to cheers to that one.
Just like that. With that said, Dan Nelson here was the real deal, and I was just a guy that was just in the background. So
Definitely not the real deal. Just a dude that was lucky to be there, honestly.
and as was I, in the presence of demigods and gentlemen, just in the presence of giants. So yeah. And this is a good time to pivot.
Okay.
And make it more about you. Erica, great question. Give me a timestamp. Give me a time check, please. Where we at?
We have 20 minutes.
Fucking A, right? We have 20 minutes.
All right.
Dan, not only are you a good buddy, not only are you a great leader and somebody that just puts forth an effort to make your community better, not just within the military, but also here now as both you and I, regular, civilians. I'm working on my dad bod. I'm more like the skinny fat type, and you're more of like the other.
The fat type, the actual
I never
fat
said
type?
that. That was
No, it's, yeah.
Tell us
I'll trade
more. Tell us more about why we're really here, so we can let the people know. I want you to give us the skinny on the Aaron Butler Memorial Foundation. Pretty please, wear cherry on top.
Yeah, man. So I mentioned I was wounded in August 2017.
Yeah.
It was a unfortunate incident for a number of reasons, but basically we were fighting a different fight within the normal fight of Afghanistan. So we weren't fighting the Taliban; we were fighting ISIS-K or ISIS Khorasan province. And I think everyone's pretty familiar, at least, with ISIS. And
Bad
yes,
guys.
yeah, and yes, they are in Afghanistan too.
Yes, true story.
So we were immersed in clearing these valleys for about 5 months, which was a really unique deployment all around. And it culminated in an operation on August 16th of 2017. We were clearing this thing called Momon Valley, and long story short, at the end of the day, basically being in constant contact from like 05 that morning or 5 a.m. that morning. Then about 5 p.m. that evening, we occupied the one standing reinforced concrete structure that we could. And about 20 minutes after we had occupied that structure, there was a massive explosion. 31 Americans were injured. A number of our Afghan partner force were killed, and one American died there, and that was Aaron Butler. And he was my one of my 18 Charlies on the team. And it was a unique experience for a lot of reasons for me. I was also injured, so I remember pieces of it. And then since then, I've seen like aerial footage. I've seen, helmet cam footage and things like that. So it's kind of hard for me to tell you exactly.
Right.
But the one thing I guess I'll say without sounding too Hollywood is that just the nature of the beast that I happened to be the one with Aaron when it ended. And he and I honestly, I was a hard boss to work for, without a doubt. So to say I was his best friend is absolutely not true. Mm-hmm. He had best friends on the team because he was a likable guy. But, I wasn't one of them. I was his boss, and I was a hard boss to work for. So I'm sure he probably, long story short, that kicked off about a 4-hour ambush. Eventually, we medevaced everybody out. The rest of us walked out of the valley. And then the walking wounded, essentially people that were injured but could still move, got out of the valley to a point where we could be evacuated more safely. And so we were picked up by the medevac birds and out. From there, it's a blur of, because it was a mass casualty event, we had casualties go to Bagram, Jalalabad, and Kandahar, where me and some of my guys were sent, which is in southern Afghanistan. It's a long flight.
Yep.
And then I was subsequently sent to Bagram, and then Germany, and then Walter Reed Medical Center, where spent a good amount of time. That's where my second son was born, actually. So my wife was 8.5 months pregnant with our second son when this happened. And then she lied to the airlines like a boss, because she's a G. Yeah. And got on a plane and flew to Walter Reed and was there with me. And she had my son Leroy on the floor beneath me. So, there you go. While she had a 1-year-old, by the way, my oldest son. So we did the Irish twins thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's Panamanian twins tradition or is it
absolutely same thing. Well, okay. Most of my friends are Irish anyway. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're familiar with the term, yeah. Mm-hmm. So planned it out, awesome, and then everything worked out, and I just can't say enough about what the support, and I mean, because she was like truly my only case manager at that time.
Yeah.
And our experience being thrust around through the armies and the DoD's medical system was not a positive one. And I'm not saying that there wasn't amazing people within the system, because at Walter Reed, I still remember 2 of my nurses, and I don't remember a lot during that period. I had a number of injuries, but the most concerning one was a brain injury. And that changed a lot of things, everything from my speech to my vision to the way I walked, my balance, my vestibular system.
Yeah.
In addition to other actual mechanical injuries.
Yeah.
So that's not a poor me thing at all. I'm just giving you some background.
No, right, absolutely.
And then the 1 year mark after that, I was still in the Army, but I was allowed to come back to Boise to do what they call community care.
Mm-hmm.
It's when they say like, hey, just go back home and recover because you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
And seek treatment through either private practice operations or the VA hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and honestly, that was the worst time that I can remember. Maybe because I can remember, but in the hospital environment, everything was really canned. So everyone like holds your hand and tells you where to go, and you have all your appointments. Like your full-time job is just appointments, and then being drugged up and sleeping.
Yeah.
And I guess it's embarrassing again, but like I didn't realize how fucked up I was, if that makes sense. I had no concept of like, even for the longest time, I didn't know how I was speaking, which was like really slurred and stuttered.
Right.
And, I knew I was in speech therapy. I knew I'd get frustrated about things, but it never clicked to me. Honestly, like when I got my phone back, the first thing I did was order a bunch of, like tactical gear, for the next deployment. Because in my mind,
You were getting ready to
to go back, because the guys were rotating home in October.
Yeah.
The ones that were there, not medevaced out, were coming back in October. It was about that time. And I'm like, all right, yeah, like I need to get ready for the next trip. I didn't have a concept of how I was until I came back here.
Yeah.
And then I get thrown into my house in Boise, Idaho, and with a newborn, my wife, and like a 1.5-year-old. And that's kind of where it all came, like, all my flaws were pointed out. The fact that I couldn't make it up and down the stairs of our 2-story house, which was really small. The fact that I didn't sleep. I had no patience. I had no caring. I had no like emotional connection, which is, God. And you think about it, like I think of my newborn son and my 1-year-old, and I wonder, like, in the future, oddly enough, if they ever see this, you know what I mean? Like, what are they going to think when they realize that, like, their dad had no ability to emotionally connect with them during that time?
Mm-hmm.
Casey did an amazing job. Like, my wife, just like she ran everything, including me.
Right.
So she was basically dealing with 3 toddlers.
Yeah.
Because, I wasn't driving, I wouldn't remember to take my medication. I wouldn't remember to shower.
Right.
Or eat. Like, which obviously, look at me, like I like to eat.
Yeah.
So if I don't remember if I've eaten or not, then something's wrong.
Right.
Anyway, so let's go kind of fast forward through that really shitty dark time.
Yeah.
By the way, got addicted to opioids. Big surprise. And I used to be the guy that, like didn't want to take ibuprofen. I'm like, oh no, that's not natural. I don't do that.
Yeah.
And then it became the guy that was like, hey, I don't want to take like a Percocet or an Oxy or Hydro or whatever. And then becoming the guy that's comfortable, eating 2 to 4 in the morning to function. And like, really, I did not feel high at all.
Right.
It was just functioning. So didn't even realize there was a problem with that until basically around Christmas time or January of beginning of 2019. So like end of 2018, early 19. And then Casey, who is a designated badass, and she understood, but I was using all these avenues. I was using opioids to a ridiculous extent.
Yeah.
I was using alcohol to a ridiculous extent.
Right.
And, I was working with some really good counselors too. So, actually at the Boise VA. So,
Which I do too.
They do exist.
Yeah, they are amazing.
And, also the vestibular therapist there, which is like your balance system. The speech therapist, like I can't say enough, like everyone, and even it's easy to talk shit on the VA, but really not every VA is created equal, and not either, just like a military, there's people do not equate unit does not equate person value.
We're incredibly lucky for the Boise VA here in Idaho, and shout out to all of you guys, Unsung Heroes, and thank you for what you do for Dad and I.
So basically, I got an ultimatum, which is not something that I'm proud of, but Casey told me that I either had to fix myself as far as the opioids or alcohol or something, or not, because she was looking at other places to live with the kids,
right?
For their happiness, for her happiness.
Yeah, their well-being.
Yeah, their well-being.
Again,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I did quit the opioids, and that was rough. That was rough, and I won't even
Shocking.
Yeah. We can get in the details if people are interested, but I don't think they really are.
No worries.
Okay. But it was a challenging period, and then the way I did it apparently is definitely, like any substance abuse counselor will tell you, that's not the way to do it, but I did. Yeah. And then things started to open up a little bit, and the biggest change was there's a veterans group called Mission 43, and we'll probably talk about that here in a bit, but Mission 43, guys like Brian Madden and Brian Von Herbulis and the Family Foundation, the Jay and Catherine Albertson's Family Foundation that runs that Veterans Initiative, gave me an opportunity to go to hyperbaric oxygen treatment, or HBOT.
Yeah.
Which at that time I thought might as well have been like essential oils or like
wizardry, witchcraft.
I'm not trying to upset people that like essential oils. It's not my bag.
Yeah. Smells nice.
Right. But them telling me it was actually going to help me, might as well okay, like I've heard that of all these treatments, like I've been to all the best programs in the country, like this and that, and like nothing is helping.
Yeah.
And you guys can see that. So then you're almost systemically forced into a victimhood situation where it's like, dude, you've done enough. You've broken now. Like, be happy that you have like a home and a wife and kids. Just like
you're alive.
Accept your victimhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that's not me.
Yeah,
I didn't feel that way. So doing the HBOT, and I did it at Idaho Barracks in Pocatello, of all things. There's only two like really functioning chambers in Idaho, the right type of chambers. And this is, I'll plug Idaho Barracks in Pocatello, Idaho. The guy down there is a commercial salvage diver.
Boom!
Just like started this business, and I'm telling you, man, being down there with people that have every condition from traumatic brain injury to Parkinson's to cerebral palsy to diabetic ulcers getting treated, it was crazy. And there's also one up in Haley, and they have the Hyperbarics Health and Wellness Foundation, which is also amazing and worth a Google. Anyway, that was the game changer for me, where it wasn't a silver bullet. I didn't like come out of there after 6 weeks of treatment saying like I'm totally better, but it gave me enough cognitive white space to give a shit about all the therapies that I was in that were formerly a exercise in frustration.
Yeah.
Like I was in speech therapy the whole damn time, from Walter Reed to here to UCLA, where I got into a program there, Operation Mend, amazing program. It was just frustration until that happened, where I could actually care about my treatment and put the correct effort into it, and then prioritize like what I wanted to fix.
Yeah.
So we, during that time, in that cognitive enlightenment or awakening, whatever you call it, like, yeah, I still have a lot of, I'm not the same person. But like the whole point of resilience is not, or like anti-fragility is not like, you stretch a rubber band and you let it go and it looks like it goes back to the same thing, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a little bit longer because you stretched it out. It's okay. You just got to get right with the new normal. And I'm not sitting here like telling you I'm right with the new normal. but I'm telling you that it gave me opportunities that to be more right with it and actually want to be productive. So, the second anniversary of Aaron's death and the whole incident in the Moman Valley in Afghanistan was August 16th, 2019. Me and some of the teammates came up the year before while I was here, and we really, for the anniversary of the day where we all got messed up and Aaron died and everything, and all we did was drink. Like we drank, and when we would tell stories, and then we'd cry, and then
and here we are.
yeah.
And
We felt like this is not worthy of Aaron's memory because he was such a remarkable person. He was a 4-time state high school wrestling champion in Utah. There's like 12 of those in the history of Utah.
Right.
Most of them came like in the Brigham Young era. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it's a rare thing. And then, just his family is so amazing, and they've been so gracious to me through this whole thing, which, they have no reason to be. Because it's unfortunate that my last act my last real act as a military leader ended up killing one of them and dramatically changing a lot of their lives, ending their careers because of medical issues, mental issues, physical issues. The pain that they feel is like a direct result of my last decision, and it's not the way I wanted to go out. But you don't get to choose how you go out. Mm-hmm. And so we chose in 2019 to run the Aaron Butler Memorial Purple Heart Run, or ABM PHR. And that the first year last year that we ran at the Eagle Bike Park, and our goal was like, hey, we're a first time like trail 5K, 10K run, and we want 300 people, and we reached out to everybody and all the running stores that were super awesome and supporting us. We're like, very good, 300 people for a first time little know nothing race. Right. Good luck, guys. And you don't look like runners, by the way. And we're like, we're not. But
right.
but it ended up being that we had a capped registration at 800, and we had almost 2,000 people come out to the run, because it's not really just a run. It's, like we say, it's an emotional and educational experience.
Thank you.
But it really isn't, because it's not about the run. It's about the celebration of sacrifice and Gold Star families. Gold Star families, for those that don't know, are someone that's lost their family member in combat. Yeah. So there's Gold Star sisters, brothers, mothers, fathers. Everything. Yeah. Gold Star, whatever, means they lost someone they loved in combat. And we want to honor the sacrifice of the fallen. And Aaron's name is on it, but it's not all about Aaron. The courses that we have are lined with the pictures of the fallen since 9/11, 2001. Yep. We have all 51 Idahoans with their pictures and bios and these giant posters along the course. Mm-hmm. And it was just amazing to see some of the Gold Star families come out. And some of the people, it's not just for military, it's for first responders as well. Mm-hmm. We have challenged athletes, paraplegics, double amputees, rucking the 10K course last year. Just nuts, man. It's crazy, and it's humbling. And that was actually the catalyst for the start of the Aaron Butler Memorial Foundation. We did it backwards. We started with our event and turned into a foundation. Sorry, I'll stop talking, man.
No. Thank you. And I know it's, it's not easy being vulnerable, and it's not easy being authentic and genuine, and we know us, and within the short amount of time in which we hang out and shared and talked, and the experience that we had together here in this beautiful state that we get to call home, we have gotten to talk and share about a number of things in which I feel incredibly privileged and honored, to listen and to listen to you here and sharing with people that do not know or potentially do not understand our background, and that's not like a stab at anybody watching it's not tracking on every single little thing that we're talking about, because it's difficult.
Yeah, it's a different culture.
And it is challenging. And you tread this thin red line in which you're not trying to be braggadocious, but at the same time you're trying to be real and you're trying to be authentic. So again, thank you, and I truly, I honor you and I honor your team and I honor Aaron, and thank you so much for, because I know it's not the first time. But yet again, here we are, and here you are, not we, but here you are, making it known, what it is what the freaking Aaron Butler, the experience and the foundation, what they're all about.
Man, well, I appreciate it, because, it's one of those things where we say we honor the fallen, but we honor them by living.
Right. And it's tricky, because it's not always easy. It is not always easy. You come home and then all of a sudden you transition into this thing, and you're like, and we're husbands and we're fathers, and talking about Casey, and earlier, for anybody that might perhaps tune in later if you're rewatching or whatever, and I was making that shout out to your wife, but that's with a purpose, because I know and understand that the reason why you are where you are has 1,000% to do with your baby mama, your significant other, your wife, and I just get, to me it is so cool that in this tiny little thing that is my Idaho friends, we not only get to honor Aaron but also get to honor her, because without her, I'm not gonna lie, I don't get you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you, and I value you, and I honor you, and as much fun as everybody's gonna make fun of me, and I love you for that.
I love you too, man.
And I really, from the bottom of my dark little ice cold rock hard, I truly do. When can we expect to be doing the Aaron Butler Memorial Foundation run? Tell us about it, please.
August 15th this year. It's happening.
2020.
2020. So the Aaron Butler Memorial Foundation has 3 pillars. Our first pillar is social action events, namely our Purple Heart Run series. Our second pillar is youth leadership development through sport, particularly youth wrestling, where we integrate veterans, military veterans, and first responders, as well as top-tier coaches to teach lessons beyond the sports that these kids are playing in these developmental camps that we put on. And the third pillar is case management assistance for wounded in action service members, because everyone involved in the organization has been a combat wounded soldier or service member, or the spouse of one. So we're not medical experts, but we know actually how this process goes, and we can hook you up with some organizations that can actually help in different ways. The next Aaron Butler Memorial Purple Heart Run is August 15th, which is a Saturday, 2020, at the Eagle Island State Park in Eagle, Idaho. And it's not a political statement. We are very conscious and aware of the safety precautions that we'll have to take with COVID. But we want to make it known that we are completely apolitical in this. The reason why we're conducting our run is because we made a promise to our fallen brother's memory. And we're going to keep that promise. If it ends up being me and Jaime running on the Greenbelt, so be it. We're going to make it a party that is like no other, to honor all the fallen, not just Aaron, even though his name is on it.
Thank you. For everybody watching, closing thoughts. Thank you so much for yet again tuning in to my Idaho friends. To Dan, thank you so much again. I honor you, I hear you, I listen to you, my heart goes out to you in a way in which I do not feel sorry for you, but I feel for you because we're brothers in this.
So we're veterans, not victims.
You're goddamn right. There are a number of things that we wanted to talk about, but we did not get to cover because here I am running my suck yet again. Again, thank you to Dan Nelson. Please, again, look into it. Here on Butler Memorial Foundation and the run, I will be there along with my family, regardless of what the conditions are. Again, not a political statement. It really is about our brothers and sisters who have just paid the ultimate price and sacrifice for our country, our community, and for all of us. If you're watching and you're a veteran, a couple of things I would like you to think about and look into. Please do look into Mission 43. Okay, they are out there to support you, especially here in the state of Idaho. Fun fact, 43, because Idaho is the 43rd state in the union. I was going to say 44. I was just kidding, seeing if you're paying attention. Second thing, there's, goodness gracious and a half, the leadership fellowship applications for that, and on the end of this month, here June 30th. Do we have 30 days on this month, Erica?
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. And also her. So that's 2 people confirming that I am correct, as usually I am. So if you look into it, you can feel free to go into my Idaho friends on Jaime Lima's Instagram and Facebook. There's some information on that bio right there, and just freaking reach out. Mission 43, Leaders Fellowship. Dan and I are also, I don't want to say OGs, but
to the fellows.
To the fellows.
We are
look
graduates.
into it, and we're graduates, and look into it. For those of you, the rest of you, and all of you, thank you for tuning in. I know you got better things to do with your time, but we most certainly appreciate you tuning in, watching, learning, listening to Dan, and listening to myself. If you're a veteran, if you're a civilian, thank you for your support. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being here in lovely Idaho, and especially in this city I love, Boise. Love. The accent is kicking in because of the beer. When in doubt, get out there and be kind to somebody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We most certainly appreciate you. And for those of you out there that you feel in which nobody cares and that you're alone and all these other things, when in doubt, again, be kind and reach out. Take care. I love you a long time, and see you next week. Cheers.